For instance, I work with an NGO where my company is kind of an
Can
NGO.
hear you well. Speak.
Okay, can you
Yes.
hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, very well.
Okay, and my where I work, my employer is an NGO, and but I also have a family NGO that they know and they support. If such a letter comes from them, will it be okay? Or anyway, the people should not, they must not know this relationship, or if they know, is that a problem? Because I'm actually working with them too. But this, I have another NGO of that they support, that they like, and yeah, if such a letter can come from them. I don't know if my question is clear.
Yes, and I would say that's fine. You just want to. I mean, the letter would not necessarily be coming from you, and they may not necessarily accept it, because if it comes down to like a letter of recommendation, it's different, where they say they know you, they know you manage this organization well because you also work with them. That's different. But if it
Yeah.
is basically about the relationship between that organization and this other organization seeking grants, it should be specifically talking about the relationship and how important this grant would be for this your organization
Um,
that is seeking the grants.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's possible. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, I always think it's good to just be as straightforward in your proposal, and just kind of honest about different things like that. And um, you try to always put a positive spin on it. But yeah, and one of the things you can do in grants is, if you are able to put appendixes in, like a letter of support, you can kind of talk about it a little bit in different sections as well. And so the one that comes to mind would be methodology. So like I said, you try to put everything in your method section. But if you can't fit everything, what you might do is just say, please see the letter of support from this organization. This is an organization that the project director has worked with for over 10 years. So sometimes you can address things in different parts of the grant. Is there another question? Or and I forgot to put it on this list, but too oftentimes you can include a resume or curriculum vitae in your appendix. Sometimes they're required, sometimes they're just allowed. Sometimes you have to shorten them because some people have really long resumes and things. So sometimes they'll say maybe you can use 2 pages for your resume, but you can usually put like the project director or the main personnel on the grant. They're you can rework them and keep working at it. And then I think it really gets a lot easier over time. It's something that once you learn it, the skill, and just once I talked about, like, in the needs section, talking about your target population and your target area. But once you have some data on that you've put together, you can generally kind of use that for different grant opportunities. So, and each time you kind of rewrite it, it gets a little bit better. You kind of refine it. And so I think it's just grant writing is an area where you can build on it over time. And then again, sometimes grant agencies have formal question and answer sessions. They'll set up a timer like a webinar or something. But sometimes too, you can just email the program officer and ask them questions, specific questions. And if they're allowed, usually they're pretty open to helping you and answering your questions.
I think that I just want to add one thing to David, just in relation to the overall process, reflecting on how, as you think about this, you think of something like a cover letter. When you use a cover letter for a job, you see, you can always just take it and tweak it and send it to another, maybe potential employer. So you think about the organization, the descriptions, and the need assessment. I mean, looking at the needs as Dr. Roof was describing, the project narrative and so on. A lot of those things could end up being similar, depending on how maybe the narrow focus you have for your organization, because sometimes people have organizations that are doing so many things. That can become really difficult too for you when it comes to applying for grants. But if you, let's say, you're specifically working with refugees in the area of education or in the area of sanitation and so on, then it will mean that it will be easier for you to tweak that grant application and send to different agencies. Also, depending on the descriptions that they have to on the when they post the grant. That's all.
One of the other things I'm thinking of right now too that I from my class, from my grant writing class, is I have recorded short videos and I posted them on YouTube for each section that I've gone through here, for need, for goals and objectives, just with some tips and some general thoughts. So I could share the links to those videos with you as well, if those would be helpful.
Yes.
I think most definitely, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll share them. I'll try to put together an email. I'll try to do that tomorrow if you don't mind.
Yeah, David, I was going to ask you, do you have a capstone project where your students work with external stakeholders in the grant writing process?
What I do for my grant writing class is at the beginning of the semester, I usually give them we talk about grants, and I give them about 2 weeks to come up with an idea. And then they kind of come up with their own idea. And sometimes they do it for, if they've worked with organizations. But the overall goal of the class is that they will eventually produce a full grant proposal. And I really have them make it like a real proposal on behalf of a real organization. So I think, one of the things I could do if I'm understanding your question correctly, like if you're interested in working with students, I could share that as an opportunity for them. If someone's interested in working with your organization, they could use that as one of their projects. I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I think so, because that's a real world example that it's going to help the students ensure that this organization actually gets the grant. Usually organizations may have an idea of a grant, but they may not have the capacity to undertake the research that that is required. And so working with a group of students could provide an opportunity for them to do some of the research. Or the organization may not have the capacity, may have the idea, but may not have the technical capacity to transform those ideas into a bankable proposal. So on a capstone basis, may provide that opportunity for this to actually materialize.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be great for students, because I think there are some students that already have ideas or agencies they work with, but there are other students that are struggling to come up with some things. And so I think having a tangible organization and more clear idea would be really helpful for them.
And your class, is it a semester based, or it's it's a whole year?
It's a semester based.
Okay.
So like I'll be teaching it again in the spring, and so it'll start the proposal through April. And what I do for my classes each week is I mean, sometimes it's like over a 2-week, but it's pretty much just each section of the grant. You know, over 2 weeks, maybe we'll do the needs statement. They read their peers' work. They get feedback from their classmates. I give them feedback. They kind of work on it, make it better, and then we move on to goals and objectives, evaluation. So they basically do each section as I've laid it out here for you all.
Yeah, that's something which I'll be very interested with or in. Maybe working with a group of students on some ideas, for either, I don't know whether I will be mentoring them, but maybe guiding them through
April. And what I do for my classes each week is
develop.
I mean, sometimes it's like over a 2-week, but it's pretty much just each section of the grant.
That sounds great.
And what I could do maybe 2 weeks, like maybe we'll do between now and then is learn a little bit more about your organizations and the needs, and then I can share that. They get feedback from their classmates. I give them feedback. They kind of work on it, make it better, and then we move on to goals and objectives.
You already have websites too.
So they basically do each section as I've laid it out here for you all. Yeah, please feel free. Again, I shared my email.
Yeah, that's something which I'll be very interested with.
Through Dr. Damano or through Herman, I can share my
maybe working with a group of students.
Even my my phone number.
Ideas,
so if WhatsApp is
either, I don't know whether I will be mentoring them,
email,
but maybe guiding.
Yes, I think we may do both email, but it may be a good idea, especially as we start looking through some of these grants and everybody starts identifying which grant they may want, for us to maybe set up a WhatsApp group where people can throw quick suggestions or quick questions. That may work.
It's a wonderful idea, Prof.
I will look into that. So let me know that as things to do.
Although we can just maybe ask questions when we are on something, and then a few people have time to answer.
Yeah, I think today is a lot of information, and then sometimes too, when you actually get into writing the proposal, questions come up, and so then too, maybe what I can do is try to help in the future when there's specific questions, or and even if we want to do a follow-up session to this group at a later time if there are more questions. And then the other thing I would just wanted to mention is I subscribe to some grant agencies like grants.gov, which is our government grant site. They have like a email and basically every morning when I wake up, I have an email from them in my inbox, and it shows me what are the new grants that have just come out. And so so recently I'm trying to keep an eye out for Cameroon and for your region in case good opportunities come out. And we're in the US, at least we're in a bit of a, I'd also like to look, because I know, a lot of European agencies also have some really good opportunities. So maybe I can try to look for more of those opportunities coming out of Europe and different parts of the world. But the other thing too is our government's going through a bit of transition right now with a new incoming administration, and so hopefully that'll open up to. We'll see some new grant opportunities as that transition takes place. Because I think they've been in a little bit of period of, change going through the election and stuff. So,
and I think when we are about to wrap up, it will be important for us to maybe do a quick introduction, let people say what organizations they are working for. That could be that could help Dr. Roof in as he thinks about all these grant ideas too. I think that's what Prof. Ndofo was about to do.
Well, that's why you're more experienced than me. That's a great suggestion. I wish I had thought about it, but yes, it just makes great sense that we do that. I don't know, do we want to do that now? Is this a good time to do that? Or do we want to save that till later?
Prof, I must go. I am dying. It's already past 12.
Let's let you go first. Why don't you introduce yourself and the sort of humanitarian activities you do before you go? By the way, Manasta is in Germany, and so it is 12:30 a.m. her time.
Yeah, 12, midnight, after midnight, actually.
So we'll
I'm sorry.
Frank.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
To go first, since we know it is past midnight, both of your time.
Okay, I have an association called Diversity. It's in German. They call it Vielfalt e.V. So e.V. is like NGO, I believe, Diversity NGO. So we are now, we started this center in Biatok. It's a partnership between us and DAC, because before I had my own NGO, I've been working at least like 5 or 10 years with, no, let me say 5 years on different projects in Cameroon and in Nigeria, even before the war started. So most of our focus have been on girls, training girls, helping them also with psychological needs, especially now that we have this traumatic situation. So we are really focused on helping girls to self-sustain themselves, to go away from the street. For instance, now there are many of them in Nigeria actually prostituting, selling their kids. So we are trying to recover these girls and then help them learn some trade, and then also help them to rebuild their psychology. So we also are on mental health care. So that's what we actually do. Thank you.
Thank you. I've worked a little in Pakistan, and I've done some research in Pakistan related to girls' education and women's education. So that's an area of interest with Afghanistan as well.
Okay.
Thank you, and I'm sorry to keep you up so late.
Oh, you are helping us. We are grateful. Thank you, Prof. Yeah. So
that's okay. I'll brief you on whatever we discuss after this.
Okay, thank you. So good night, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to help us with this.
Please get some rest. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If if I have the same one that you're thinking of, I think that directory tends to be more foundations. Foundation grants and government grants have similarities. Generally, the proposals are often very similar. But yeah, I do think it's a very helpful resource. And it's good to see what areas philanthropy and foundations are funding. Yeah, I think they're just two different resources, but they're both very valuable. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think it would be very helpful. Thank you. Good. I hope it's helpful.
And by the way, please, for those who came after we started, if you could please put your email address on the chat forum, then I can put together the links to different grant opportunities and whatever reference material Professor Rolf has and share by email.
Yeah, Prof. Herman, I want to beg to leave.
Yeah, so you go next. You can tell, you can explain to Professor Rolf and Demano what you do. Then I know you're in Italy.
Yes, thank you.
I keep saying you're in Italy, but not Italy. It's
yes, in Italy. You're right.
Okay,
you're
I got
right.
it right this time. Okay.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Thank you very much for organizing this event. Thank you, Professor David. I think you were very eloquent, very clear.
Oh, thank you.
I enjoyed it, and sometimes we come to listen to material, and we take a lot from it. And I think you've given us a lot in just one evening, and we're really grateful. I am the chairman of the board of directors of the SCBC. SCBC is a television that is funded by, it's a network that is funded by the community. And we try to engage the international community and also our people in Cameroon about human rights activities going on in the country. Concerning also the war, which you know is ongoing, but we're also there to educate the people, to give carry out different initiatives like that of education, especially for children not going to school in this period, and so maybe online television courses or lessons might be useful to them. We are also involved in advocacy, especially that of collaborating with different associations, to press and pressure the international community to give a strong say to what is going on. So I think what the caliber of SCBC is very good for the nation, for especially for the Southern Cameroonians. It's an open sesame for many initiatives to pass across, especially that of media, that of communication, of their projects and initiatives. So SCBC becomes not only a media initiative, but a platform for different initiatives to pass across. We offer, we try to offer quality television also, but I think the basic needs of SCBC would be quality material, equipment, getting to build more journalists, into communicating to people, especially independent journalists who are not connected to governments, and so that they can be free, to talk about issues of human rights and democracy with freedom, without fear of being attacked. So those are the kind of things SCBC would like to engage itself, and also trying to be a voice where in places for children, as we just heard, children who are suffering, who are prostitutes and so on, women, empowerment. So we are like a voice to these people. And I'm saying this so that you should basically understand how you guys can channel where SCBC can have some grants. SCBC is facing a lot of difficulties to maintain itself because it's a very ambitious project with very little capital. And when you depend on just the donations of individuals, it's not a commitment. And so those donations can come heavily in 1 month, and in other months you find it's wanting. And so we definitely need to find a sustainable situation where the television is run and sustained by a clear programming and a clear sustenance of support, financial support. So I would really love you to, if Dr. Herman would like to organize something for the television once it's up, for you to educate people on these issues, especially just talk about yourself, talk about your initiatives, what you've done, your history, and that may be helping to people. Okay. What you've presented today is really valuable. Nobody can measure it in terms of money, but it's really valuable. It's something you will leave to the people, for the people. I thank you very much.
Thanks. Yep. I'm honored to hear that. And your organization sounds wonderful and essential. It's I was just talking to some colleagues from Pakistan, and right now during the pandemic, most students don't have computers or laptops, so their primary source of information comes through television, through networks. And so the government has an initiative to try to provide educational opportunities through that media source. So it just, what you're doing sounds very interesting to me.
To chime in, SCBC is actually really the only source right now of uncensored television. It's a satellite-based television, so it's uncensored information for Southern Cameroon, I would say, at least over TV. Satellite is the only, outside the country is the only way you can do it. Otherwise, the government censors and shuts down.
Okay. Well, I would love to learn even more, about the organization.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
I would be honored to collaborate.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Chairman Frank. And I'm sure we'll take you up on your offer, the offer you just gave Professor Demano and Wolf. So
okay. All right. Okay. Bye-bye to everyone.
Thanks.
Good night.
Oh, yes, I see John's hand is up. Sorry, John, I'm not paying too much attention.
No, it's okay. I put my hand up while Mr. Frank was talking, so it's understandable. I just needed to wait patiently for my turn. And in fact, I want to say I'm really elated at this session. It was really, really rich. And I should say I learned enormously in this session. And I'm also delighted at the fact that we're able to have resources, that we can begin exploring to see how to, help alleviate the plight of our people in various domains. And since I'm talking, perhaps I just indicate I'm of the consortium, the civil society consortium of the Southern Cameroons. And we carry out a lot of humanitarian activities on the ground aside of our other activities in the area of advocacy to, see how to get better conditions for especially the civilian population in a very difficult environment marked by, armed conflict. So we are actually involved in a lot of things, therefore, related to that. And one of our executing agents is actually the ARF, the Ambazonia Relief Fund, which is essentially humanitarian and does everything just humanitarian. It's a 501c structure that we created somewhere by the end of 2018 to ensure that it gives us the possibility to garner funds to address the specific needs of the numerous IDPs, those who are wounded on a daily basis from running from the military. Like today, I mean, we had a whole village again in Meme division burnt down completely, and you have hundreds of people trooping into the forest, some getting their legs amputated. Like there's a little girl in Limbe, in Victoria right now, I mean, whose leg is virtually like in two halves, but she's still standing on it. So those are things that we really pay attention to, and I think that this kind of discussion was really essential. The knowledge we've had here is really, I should say, is invaluable, and the resources we have are definitely going to help. What I'll simply request is that, like someone said, we need a WhatsApp group, and we also need to have that opportunity to stay in touch so that we can continue to tap from this very rich reservoir of knowledge to see how we forge on as we try to put together possibilities to bring succor to those in need. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words and for the work you're doing. And yeah, I agree. I hope we can collaborate more. I'm also
no, I just wanted to add that is David. That is John Mba Akuro, was a journalist in Cameroon. I think because of this war, he's Johnny. If I can put it, you're a refugee, right?
Of course, exactly. I am.
Exactly.
It's not if you can put it. That's what I am.
A seasoned journalist from Cameroon, as you could hear from his voice, is a professional in that area. And then one thing to just add is, he said his organization is non-profit, 501c3 based here in the US, which means when we are looking at some of those funding opportunities, the ones that you've been receiving emails about that, a lot of them will really fit the category he was describing. Because some of those that are shared will be, the requirement was should be home base or main base in Cameroon and so on, right? But these ones with some of these major organizations which are in the US, and they like to even support those type of organizations, and they even want them to partner. That is, even if you are applying from Cameroon, they want to see that you are partnering with an institution here in the US, because they're able to assess them and track the money, making sure that the money is not being lost somewhere. Thank you, John.
Okay, I think I can go next.
Yes, go ahead, Isaac.
Yeah, my name is Isaac Zama, and my interest is in agriculture, cultural education, and what I've been doing so far since the war started was working in collaboration with SCBC to educate our people on processes, techniques, how to are you guys hearing me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, it seems as if it's so crocky. Anyway, my interest is in educating our people on how to be able to produce food within the context of a war. And so I do lots of research, finding out practical things that have been done in other countries, and try to see how that could apply within the context of our people, for those that are back at home and those that are refugees in, across West Africa. So this program is produced in collaboration with it's with SCBC. It's a weekly program that different topics are addressed. Things like how to purify water for people who are running away from the violence, or how to build a solar dryer, or how to build huts in the bushes when they're running away from the military. So things like that, the kinds of things that I'm interested in and that I've been working on. And so I interested in partnering with some of the NGOs that work with people on the ground. For example, some of our foundations or NGOs that work with refugees or internally displaced persons. How could internally displaced persons grow food in an area where they don't have land? They can do that using bags where they can put in soil and grow tomatoes or vegetables. So those are the kind of things which I'm interested in. Practical things that can improve people's lives within the context of this war. So in terms of grant writing and things like that, maybe I'll look into that. But this would definitely be in partnership with organizations that have the capacity to be able to implement some of the technical assistance that the program may give to them. So thank you again so much for the seminar. I think it was very instructive, particularly for some of the more grounded NGOs that have been working with people over the last several years.
Yeah, thank you for that overview. And I know that Ball State has tried to coordinate. Purdue University is one of the other universities in Indiana that's had some agriculture initiatives. And I know one of the challenges with Afghanistan has been, food production in the context where there's instability. So I know that that's a challenge area, but the area that Dr. Dumano and I are in, education and agriculture, are often interlinked because we're providing education related to agriculture.
So just to, I think I hear some humming. So just to try a couple of things, I think, Dr. Zaman is being a little bit modest. By the way, in terms of Big Ten connection, since I see there is both fighting Elena in the house and who's there, Dr. Zama is also an able badger. Right? We were in Wisconsin together too long ago. He also does, he has what they call the Amber's Farmer's Voice, which is the version. But he also is engaging in lots of on the ground.
We can't hear you well.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can hear a humming. I don't know where it's coming from. Let me change my microphone.
That's fine now.
We can hear you now.
Okay, let's see. Is this better?
Yes.
Yes. So he's also involved in on the ground activities beyond education, right? I think the last one I recall last month he was raising money for was some garden activity for a retirement home for refugees. So a refugee home program for the older refugees, am I correct? And having them as an activity to part of help sustenance, do farming. I mean, not heavy scale farming, obviously, since we're talking about retirement age individuals, but subsistence. And if you look, I know there are at least a couple of things that I had you in mind. That there is, it's funded by a French agency, Comité Français pour Solidarité Internationale. You'd see on the thing I sent, I'll send that is grants for farming innovation in West Africa. So that is one that I definitely had Amber's Farmer's Voice in mind when I saw that.
Okay. And you say he's based in Ibadan?
No,
Well,
I'm based out of Fairfax in Virginia.
Okay, Virginia.
Yeah, and the programs are simulcasted over SCBC, and then they're broadcasted at home, and some of the African countries where our refugees are.
Mm-hmm. I would like to learn more about that too.
Okay, all right.
yeah, I will share contacts after. I'll share both contacts. I think Belinda, you haven't gone yet. If you can hear me, if not, I don't know. I know Brenda Lynn joined us a little late. I don't know if she wants to say something, introduce herself and some of her humanitarian activities. Whoever is available to go next.
Yeah, let's hear from her, and I'll go after. Yes. Let's hear from Brenda Lynn, and I'll share after Brenda Lynn. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, I see a message. Okay, so it looks like Brenda Lynn can't go either. So I'm going to put the town hall moderator, Ato, since I see town hall, since you are in, maybe you want to share a little about what you do. You are muted, you're muted. No, I did not introduce you. I introduced me, and I did not introduce the town hall either, so you can speak for the town hall. Arikana.
Thank you. I have a colleague at Ball State who runs our Center for Peace Studies, and I know they have tried to organize the types of events that you're talking about that bring people together. And that colleague has worked in places like Jordan, in countries like Jordan, with different groups to try to bring, they've tried to use sports and different mediums to bring people together from different parts of conflicts. But I know that foundations are generally willing, there are foundations that are willing to support the types of events that you're talking about through grants. So sometimes foundation grants are used for conferences and for events. There's usually a little more flexibility with foundation grants, I feel like, to fund those types of activities. And there are some situated on peace and dialogue that I think would be really good for that type of organization. Okay. Sure. Okay, I will share that.
Yeah, you're talking about Larry Gersten, right, David?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's somebody we can talk to and see. Mr. Atto, thank you very much for that general background information. I've been, for a couple of weeks, I've been attending the town hall. Herman just informed me about it. So your faces are very familiar. It's just that I've not been saying anything, but a moment will come for me to speak openly there. But yes, I write about it. I tweet a lot about these issues. So I'm very active on these issues. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it looks like, I don't know, I saw Brenda Lynn's microphone came on for a second. So I don't know if she's ready. If not, if Belinda is ready, Belinda can go. No?
Yes, I'm here. Okay.
Okay. Right.
Oh my God. Well, I kind of have another. Let me close this one. All right. So sorry, I had to run and take care of some stuff. So where are we, please?
No, so just introduce yourself and the sort of humanitarian activities you do. That's about what we've been doing.
Okay. Well, okay. My name is Belinda Babila, and I happen to be one of the founders of, is that me? I'm hearing a background noise.
We can hear you.
Okay. Okay, because there was some kind of, okay, right. Okay, my name is Belinda Babila, and I am the founder of the Belinda Babila Foundation. We are a 501c3 charity, and we've been operating since 2017. And we're really focused, we have a target population that we're focused with and the target area. Our target population is really the IDPs who are currently in the Northwest, the Southwest, and in Douala, or in Littoral, and the refugees who are in Nigeria. And within the Nigeria scope, we're really within the Akwa Ibom state, which is in Oyo. And we do some work in Ogoja as well, that's in Cross River. And we're actually also with refugees in Accra, Ghana. And as far as what are some of our pillars that we do operate under, we do the WASH, which is the water, sanitation and hygiene pillar. We do food and nutrition security. We do some shelter work. We do some health support and educational support. That's the pillars that we cover. And we've been doing this in these areas consistently in Nigeria since 2018 on a consistent basis. And I think we've served, in the total number of people that we've served under our, I would call it our nutritional support or emergency response program. I think we've served close to 50,000 refugees in all since 2018 till date. And as far as IDPs, we've served, I believe, about 25,000 IDPs, and just giving them basic food stipends, NFIs, like non-perishable food items, and NFIs for their sustenance. So in summary, we've just been doing more of emergency response as far as food and nutrition is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so when she talks about IDPs, she's referring to an internally displaced population. That is those who move from the war zone within Cameroon to another part of the other side.
It sounds like the USAID is an area that has sometimes grants in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm hoping that with a new administration here, that the engagement there will increase a bit.
Belinda, have you received any support from any non-profit organization?
Well, I've dealt with churches really locally, and really honestly, when I was looking into grants, I really did not, I didn't feel like we were ready like a couple of years ago, because I felt like we needed to be on the field and gain traction and understand the grant world, understand the nonprofit world at a professional level, and then build capacity within the organization before trying to get money that we may not be able to render the services that we're trying to get the money for. So I felt like get the capacity in there, get the structure, get the process in place. And I feel very, very ready in 2021 that we're ready to go get all the grants that's out there, because we've invested in capacity building, invested in staff retention, and I think we're ready to be able to really get the funds and then do the massive kind of support that we want to, or aid that we want to render in the communities that we serve. Okay. So for right now, this is the year that I plan to have the grant, because like, again, we have to have all the supporting documents ready and in place. And those supporting documents is a structure. And if that structure is really not solid, it's kind of hard to have all those documents in place.
Do you already have a website?
Yes, I do, sir. Yes.
Good.
And I'll share it on the chat.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know if Brenda Lynn is ready.
She's actually, she was actually out of the house when we talked for her to join in. And so she could be in a noisy environment. I don't know if she's been able to step out of the noise now that she can come in, but if not, then...
Okay, if not...
Okay, hello, I think I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, okay, thank you. Good.
I've been trying to get the right place where I wouldn't be interrupted. And let me fix my earpiece here. All right, great evening, everybody. Good evening. I have to, first of all, apologize for jumping in late. I have a friend who lost a daughter, so we're out on the funeral, and the traffic has been crazy getting back home, so I couldn't log in on time. But my name is Brenda Lynn. So I actually, my organization initially is called Joy Munificent Global, and we have worked in collaboration with the Civil Society Consortium in Cameroon, and we are kind of a little everywhere. I hate that I have missed this. I really could not make it. I tried hard to make it on time, but it's a very close friend who lost a 2-month-old baby, and she's been unconsolable for days. So the funeral was today, but hopefully I'll get the chance to catch up with the recording. However, we are kind of everywhere when it comes to humanitarian. Yes, there are so many other IDPs on the ground who actually didn't have the chance to go out of the war zones to settle in the other, should I say peaceful areas of the country, if at all they are peaceful. And so we work a lot more with the people on the ground inside the war zone itself, who try to reach out to people who are living in bushes, in the forest. And so we try to provide them just the basic necessities. And as of right now, We haven't really got any specific source of funding, so we basically go only by raising funds from from individuals and most of our people here, and we also focus on most of our prisoners who are, there, who have been thrown into jail and are lying there. They don't have, some of them don't even have family. They don't know where their families are. They don't know where their kids are. We've succeeded to reunite some of them to their wives and kids after about 2 or 3 years. We just recently got one last week who was very happy. And we try to organize like food. So we have people who on a monthly basis, they have days that they can be visited. So on a weekly basis, they could get somebody to take in food in there. It's not been an easy task, but we have established a routine that really makes it easier whenever we are able to. And most importantly, the community schools. So with the community schools, what we have tried to do is we have professional teachers who have been displaced and living in forest. And so they try to get kids together and they try to teach them basics. If you can imagine a child who was born 3, 4 years ago, who has never seen the four walls of a classroom. So basically, we kind of had some people put together books, posters, pencils, pens last in August, and we shipped some of them there. Thank God some have just arrived. And we try to just encourage them that way to teach the kids in a community setting since they cannot go to school at all. And of course, it's Christmas, buying some bags of rice and things to give them. So as you can see, we are really everywhere, but the main focus is to get across to those who probably seem to have been completely forgotten, and not forgotten because they cannot, nobody wants it, because it's very dangerous helping these people. And so most of our activities are underground, where we kind of work with those who work with us cannot reveal themselves, because they risk being killed also because of what they are doing. And so, and that's why it's been hard. And then, oh yeah, one other very, very important one, some of the wounded guys who are carrying the guns, the restoration fighters, some of them get abandoned in bushes with their wounds, fractured legs. So we kind of work with some institutions, hospitals that have really been so sympathetic with us. And some of them will actually treat a lot of them for an IOU, where we kind of plead and they take care of the wounds for that moment. We are talking of them in hundreds, really. And we kind of raise funds and pay them gradually. I'm sure even after this is over, we'll still have bills because they are in millions right now as we speak. Some, uh, uh, I would say religious institutions, mostly, those are the ones that are really cooperating with us. And so, yeah, that's in a nutshell what we do. Here in the US, we try to build young girls. That is what we started in, but we kind of focused a lot more on when this started. But we kind of work with young girls to build their leadership skills, get their self-confidence, and be able to be the good citizens that they should be. I live in Baltimore, so that is where I got the inspiration from, with seeing what is going on around me here. So thank you also very much. I'm really, really hoping I'll be able to catch up with the recording, and maybe the next session will definitely be better. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for introducing yourself. And I grew up in Baltimore, so it's a city that I love very much.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm aware of some of the challenges there. So.
Yep. Thank you.
Brendalyn, thank you very much for that presentation. It's just heartbreaking hearing I'm familiar with what is going on the ground, but just hearing from somebody who is coordinating this humanitarian assistance is really painful. I hope we'll not endure this for long again before it's over.
I'm praying hard. I am really praying hard.
I think what we really, really need now is it's a lot of funding to help meet the huge humanitarian needs that has been really, really underfunded. so that people can at least, while they're aspiring for the struggle to get finished, we have some living souls, because if care is not taken, people may not even be alive to witness the new heaven that we're all fighting for. I hear.
Thank you. So you just raised the great point, which I was about to go to next. I think I will catch, Brenda Lynn, I will catch you up to speed. We'll talk and I'll provide you with what material we need. So our next steps, I will follow up with the people in Europe. We've lost the people, almost everybody, not almost all the people in Europe have had to go the tail end. So I would suggest that our next steps is I'm going to follow up with the projects, the additional projects, and work with each one of the groups. Hopefully every group identifies a potential grant. I would say our next activity, and David, please correct me, I would say I would focus on everybody completing the SMART, the objectives, the goals and objectives table as the first activity. Some of the other things before, but right up to then, maybe look at the other sections and maybe we touch base. Then, so everybody has worked on one key activity for their NGO and their potential grant. Then once we do that, hopefully, I know the holiday period is busy, hopefully by early January, then we can touch base with everybody and see what next to do to complete, whether we meet or information they need can be shared by email or WhatsApp. Those are my thoughts. But once we end later today, I would send out an email to everybody consolidating the different grant opportunities. I would say something, then I will pass on to Professor Roof, then Professor Demano would wrap up. And what I want to say is just thank I want to thank the Institute for Transformative Education and particularly Professors Roof and Demano for taking the time to help us. I don't think your time is in vain. Since I've been involved with these humanitarian groups, I have constantly said, since I've been seeing the work they have been doing, that if you want to see when leadership is in Southern Cameroon, you have to look at the humanitarian groups. And I'm not saying by any means that the refugees have it right, but we have close to 1 million internally displaced individuals and close to 500,000 refugees in Nigeria. And Nigeria is not complaining. And we're not seeing on CNN every day catastrophic refugee conditions. And the reason is because of the tireless work of these humanitarian groups, because they are working tirelessly in the shadows. I mean, my heart just breaks when I see all the work they are doing from very meager resources. And anything we can do to help them alleviate that would be really great. And I think this is one first step to help still with the bootstrapping, but take it a step further. So I want to thank both of you very much. I want to thank those in North America who are still on for taking the time. I think this is the fun part. The real work starts after this, because we all, by the time we're done, we all will have at least one grant proposal completed and ready to submit, right? So I will hand it over to Professor Roof, and then Professor Demano will wrap up the session for us.
Yeah, Can I ask a question real quick to our speakers? Please?
Yes, please go ahead, Belinda.
What has been your success rate with your grants that you guys have written in the past? Thank you.
By the way, Dr. Zaba is a fellow colleague, so he's laughing because he also knows the answer.
We don't want to go by that. We don't want to give you numbers.
Belinda, being academic makes you an enduring optimist.
Know that any grant that you are applying for is very competitive.
Yes.
And that's why we say you don't want to just rush and submit it without having others look at it, review it with you. Yes. And yes.
Yeah, I mean, the most competitive federal agencies I think the granting rate is around 20, somewhere between 20 to 40%, meaning the majority for federal agencies in the US, a lot of proposals don't get funded. But I do think that, again, if you get in the habit and the momentum of submitting proposals and revising them, eventually that one does hit. And when it does, that's usually a great project that leads to future opportunities. And so I think the important thing is not to get discouraged. And
what I would like to say also, based on experience, is that the most optimistic organizations will get funded out of 10 grant applications. You may be lucky to get 2 if you are really that good. Not that you're bad, but just because the competition is fierce. And because of the competition, depending on the number of applications that come in, the scrutiny becomes very, very tough. So it's not, having a number doesn't necessarily translate into how good you may be. So, it just depends. With our situation, if we can make a compelling case.
That's what I was going to find.
Yeah, we'll get funded.
Yeah, because I know that, I was also going to think that a lot of grants may not win because that's like a deja vu kind of grant. Like it's a problem that everybody is trying to solve. But if it's like a particular unique problem, then I think we have a higher probability to be able to get the funds allocated, especially when we know that it's almost like a pandemic issue, that we should probably be able to get the funds allocated for those grants. That's just my rationale, my thought rationale. I think
it's a good thought process. I think we should just learn and be hopeful and apply. Yeah.
Okay, and I also have a question about state grants. Maybe the grant experts can help me on this. From doing my own personal research with grants and grant writing, from what I've kind of read, trying to go for all those state grants, they're very rigid. And if you really don't have that structure to be able to meet up with their guidelines and their compliance, you might even get in trouble. So I'm like, for a start, I don't even need those kind of grants that I'm still trying to get used to, acquaint myself. So my take now is, honestly, I'm not even looking at any state grant. I'm probably looking more on, community grants and foundation grants, because I feel like the requirements for the state grant, and I really don't want to waste my effort and my energy into what I'm applying that I know I may never have it. Or even if I have it, I don't feel like I have the capacity and the structure and the staff and what it takes to execute that grant.
I think you should start with the one that you are most comfortable with.
Okay.
One that you hope that it could be funded.
Yes.
When you start from there, you have all the narrative written. Now you can always then take the material, just tweak it and send elsewhere. And you will not feel like, oh, I've wasted a lot of time and this has not been funded. Because once you have that established
grant template,
then you can always, but you want to make sure you take time to read the description of
their guidelines. The request for proposal guidelines, so that you're not just throwing in rubbish to them or a copy and paste kind of document. Mm-hmm. You're answering what they're really asking you. Exactly. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That and I think partnerships. If eventually, if you get to that point where you find a good opportunity that you that you want to apply for, but you feel like you need more support, that might be a good partnership opportunity.
And I was hoping that maybe if you guys were available, or maybe if you guys were trying to serve by because the thing is this, I believe that if somebody has done something, it's always easier than for you to try and reinvent the wheel. Yeah. Like we have organizations within our CSOs, whom I think are 501c3, and maybe with you guys' guidelines and your mentorship, we could take that as a challenge in 2021 and see if we can come up, that's if we identify a grant that needs partner organizations, then maybe we can come together as a group, like a partnership kind of organizations, and then apply for that grant. But, like I said, these are things that need expertise, and it needs people who've done it before and have done it properly.
I agree.
And most organizations barely have money to survive their running costs. And I know that grant writers are very, very costly, and they're that costly without any guarantee. So you're paying them up front, and it's a win or lose deal, and you cannot come back to them. So you kind of ask yourself, do I take $5,000 to pay for a grant writer, or do I put that $5,000 into sustaining people? So it's a little bit.
As Dr. Ruth said earlier, he teaches this class on grant writing, and he has students every semester. At least he has a couple of students who are interested in applying that knowledge, right? That is, they will learn theory in class, but they want to apply it in the field.
Absolutely.
So that could be a way for us to get connected. When you assign students to your non-profit organizations to help you look at what you want to apply. And just like we said, Dr. Ndofo is going to link us up, and then we can always share ideas. If you start the grant writing narrative and it's running into issues, or even if you have written the entire document and you just want us to take a look at it, that would be something that I'm open to, just like Dr. Ruse is open to looking into that.
Very well. I have a few documents that I'd like to share that we're working on. Thank you.
Okay.
Professor Roof, it's up to, I think it's your turn to wrap up, then Professor Demano would wrap up. Oh, am I not coming through? So, yeah, so Professor Roof, I'll give you the chance to say your final word, then Professor Demano would close the session for us.
I think just what I've shared already is that I would just reiterate as I shared my email, and I'd be happy to hear from you. I'd love to learn more about your organizations, and I'm just really honored that you gave up your precious time to be with us and tonight, and I really appreciate it, and I'm honored. I'm just very impressed by all of you, so I'm just very honored to have this opportunity and to share this with you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sir Roof. I think some of us came late, so we didn't get a chance to get the email.
No, I would share it. Okay. I think you already shared your email with me, so.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so I'll share all the material by email later tonight. Okay, Professor Demano.
It can actually get very overwhelming.
Okay, folks, I'm just very excited to have participated in this event. Just so moved, looking at the passion, looking at the different activities that you are all leading in the field, because sometimes people might sit back and they are sending money and they just think they are doing all the work, but look at, money is not enough. No matter how much you are giving, but the people who are doing all these things, or especially on a voluntary basis, that is a lot. I do a lot of professional service work. I edit a journal. I'm also executive director of Global Institute for Transformative Education. And I can tell how much work we put into that, how much time we put into that without any kind of compensation. People always just see the work being done, how things are being carried out effectively, but without quantifying the time that you put into that process. So I really want to commend you on all these different humanitarian activities that you are carrying out. as I live here, I live with renewed energy in me about the issue back home where we are struggling for, fighting for, and given I was making notes with respect to all the different activities that you are all involved in, and I will be doing more research in that area to make sure that we are applying for targeted grants and that we don't just go in to something that is not necessarily relevant, and we sit there hoping that the results may be positive, whereas maybe we didn't really target the right grants. So I'll be working on that. I'll be trying to reach out to some locally based nonprofit organizations here in Indiana to see to what extent we could do that partnership. I think that will be of essence in this process. So thank you very much. Continue to do what you are doing. You will see me more often, and David too is very willing to be back here with the expertise in grant writing. As I said earlier, for those of you who came late, he is teaching a graduate course. He teaches a graduate course in that area. So we have the right person here to really direct us. And so hopefully in the next, within a year from now, we should be talking about the results. What did we get? And so we can see that, yes, we started something that has really borne fruit.